So waiting on Dave and Prince get on board.
Tagged them, so we'll see on that.
All right, there. All right. I got the information here, and everything is running smooth. I'm not live yet.
Run through. I mean, nothing on the news really was.
Not much, I know. Yeah, not much has been happening.
Also,
But
also,
go
I'll
ahead.
throw this in there. A lot of, and you can see it on Facebook. Like, there's these different. You can go live if you want.
Hmm.
Pretty good stuff.
All right, there. Let me make sure everything is all set up here. Blah blah blah. All right. All right. So, are we ready, folks? I guess we are. All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new superb edition of Music Maniacs coming at you live here on the Dr. Earl channel. Myself, YR, are live right now. And we're also waiting on both Prince Idol and Devious Dave Rose. Dave Rose is going to be joining us once again pretty soon. And tonight we're going to be talking about something that YR mentioned when we first started working together back in 2020, overrated. Overrated bands, artists, songs, albums, you name it. We're going to go over the place. So on this one here, even music trends,
Well, yeah,
genres.
like I like like overplayed. I want to mention a lot of overplayed songs, bands. I mean, which goes into the over. I mean, it's a little bit different, like overrated,
Mm-hmm.
because it might be get more into. But I want to throw in some overplayed stuff. I mean, give it a little mix, but the over stuff. You know what I'm saying? Not under, but over, like you said. And then look, a lot. We're a little
Mm-hmm.
early tonight, but there's a lot of stuff
An
going on with the
hour
tear,
earlier.
like a lot of the tariffs and everything. But like these on Facebook, these metal, like they have metal injection, like all these metal sites, metal. Uh,
Yep, I've seen a few of those.
it's metal music. Right? So like metal injection,
Mm-hmm.
metal new, different. But
Exactly.
they're all very liberal. They post like today, it was like concert T-shirts will be $90 now because of Trump's tariffs.
What? Really?
Well,
Huh.
already your average concert shirt dollars. You can get lucky on some smaller club, like this KK's Priest thing. It was like a $35 deal, a
Yeah.
$30 long sleeve. You can get like $30, 35. I think the lynch mob shirts, I think they were like 30 or something like that. But honestly, the average, it's and there. Look, some get high too, Brad. There's some 50s. The Judas Priest shirts were 50.
I know, yeah. We ended up getting bootleg shirts for crying out loud, and that costs way cheaper than the actual ones.
Iron Maiden was fair at the 40, but average and fair, and it is a lot of money. But you got to think, $40, you're getting an image on the back, and you're getting the image on the front. Obviously, you usually get tour dates on the back. Sometimes they get cheap, like Marshall Tucker. They
Mm-hmm.
had just the map of the United States on the back, but it had the flag on the sleeve. Now, I did not get a T-shirt
Mm.
because I was like front row, and I didn't want to lose a spot, and I didn't want to. But I ended up ordering one on offline. It's a little different, but it was a pretty good patriotic T-shirt.
Nice.
These metal. I just wanted to start off these metal sites. They're highly liberal. Um, and there's this music called, I don't know. It's like they do the metal dancing or metal stomping. And
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of lean into the LGBT. I mean, I'm seeing these bands having, I guess they're in a bar or a club, but they have like the LGBT flag in the back, part of the
Oh
drum kit. You know how
gosh.
like sometimes different
Really?
sometimes different guitarists or bass players even Even Zach Sabbath, he'll put like like a couple toys or something on top of the amp. Like he has a couple wrestler toys, like Ultimate Warrior. He
Yes, I've
like I don't
seen
know. It's
that a
just
few
part. I don't.
times.
Just musicians do that. Some people put like a little bobblehead of a sports star, their sports team. Like, but like this particular these stomping metal. It's metal, and they do these LGBT flags. I mean, nothing. No one's. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, everyone gets all panties in a bunch when they go to a Ted Nugent show and he has American flag on stage or can't take it flag on stage. But I'm just
Mhm.
throwing it out. But these metal. I mean, I don't know who's running them. Blah blah blah. But metal's not about the gay community. Metal is about anyone can go to any concert anywhere. It doesn't matter. I mean, in America at least, I know if you can be white as bread and you can go to a Snoop Dogg concert. Okay, you could be black as night and you can go to a Metallica concert. Because guess what?
Yeah,
I've seen it. I've been there. I'm sure people through the years and everything. You any race, any whatever can go to any concert and could go to anything, any event. So I mean, I'm just that kind of threw me off guard seeing that, and it's a bunch of different these metal injection, metal. I don't know what other metal site, but there's a lot. It's just these generic name, Metal News Now, Metal America, Metal. It's interesting on that, but my statement is anyone's welcome to any concert, man. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. They're not gonna. Obviously, if you show up butt naked, they're not gonna let you in the door.
I
No
know
shirt, no
that.
shoes, no service.
Yep,
But
that's true.
you'll see it, Doctor. But I mean, it's they're saying concert shirts will be $90 or $100 because of the Trump tariffs. When the concert shirts were already high, and the venues take a percentage out, usually most of the time of the merch. So the bands usually charge more, but then on the website, like the bands are still charging $40 for the shirts on the websites anyway. So like I mean, how real is these venues taking merch for the money or whatever from these shows? But Dr. Brown, real quick before we get into the topic, this Marshall Tucker band.
Yeah,
Have
but
you
it's
ever
interesting. Yes, I've heard of
seen
them many times.
seen them live though, or no?
No, I never did see him live, but I remember the first time I heard of him was a video on the old MTV circuit. I think the song may have been Silverado or something like that. I remember the music video for it. It's about a guy that's looking to get revenge on this gunslinger for killing his family and such. And I gotta look it up sometime soon because I remember watching it a few times with my sister, mom, and dad. This was when MTV was fresh. MTV was good. MTV was thriving, putting out different genres, different experimental videos and stuff, Whether
And well,
before,
this
go ahead.
was they obviously the main members and the main squeeze passed away years ago, and it's like the
Hmm.
type of band to where there is one, and it is a singer, and I mean, but a lot of the songs, even live, like Tori Codwell sang and other members sang throughout the years, but mainly what Doug Gray is the lead singer for the Marsh Tugger Band, and
Yep.
they played a million places over the years. I mean, all throughout the '90s, small clubs, blah blah blah. But just many, many miles. I mean, you talk about Brown, you talk about Americana.
Yeah, I know.
I could have, we could have gone there with MAGA hats on and fit right in. I mean, I didn't see any political. I mean, wore my Alex Jones shirt, whatever. Um, but it was outside, it was outdoors, it was like 70 degree. It was
Nice.
like the perfect concert weather, man. I mean, I wore a
Mm,
jacket, but because at night, it gets a little, cooler. But it is sad. Like when I went to that Dawkins show, not the lynch mob thing, but the Don Dawkins horrible live, and some of
yeah,
these people still do it because they need the money, blah blah blah.
that's true.
Marshall Tucker Band, you can kind of tell this. They're doing this big tour with Bachman Turner Overdrive coming up. Now they weren't part of the bill for this, but um, the part of they're doing this huge tour with and part tour with just them and stuff like that. But they got a lot of dates coming up, and Dr. Brown, you can it's when you go into a show knowing like this is not going to be them in their prime, and some this wasn't like a disgusting throw up deal like a Dawkins show would be. I'm trying to
Yeah,
trying to put it in.
it
He
was it was
still
basically good.
was what to kind of expect when you're going in. You're like this, one man member, blah blah blah. But the power, I'm trying to put into words, the power of great songs, but great American songs. I mean, this band was up there with guys hung around and did stuff with Leonard Skinner. Charlie Daniels was a part of a lot of the songs playing violin live.
Yep,
I mean,
Poco.
these guys have probably Can't You See would be their biggest song,
Signature
right?
song, yes, absolutely.
Heard It in a Love Song is
Up there as well.
everyone's heard of that song. But
Absolutely.
can't you see Dr. Brown is on movies, commercials, blah blah. I mean that is up there with the likes of some of these songs you hear on commercials all the time that are
I know.
you could throw in the overplay category.
Yeah.
Don't stuff like Back in Black, Shoot to Thrill, Thunderstruck.
Hmm.
I could throw a lot of ACDC into the overplayed.
I
I don't
could
want to
throw a
put it.
lot of things in regards to that, but going
Just
back
because
to,
it's overplayed, Dr. Brown, doesn't mean it's overrated. But I do want to throw in the overplay stuff. But like, Marshall Tucker Band, there is always in those two. There's what song did we start? I mean, Can't You See? Heard It in a Love Song.
hmm
Others, Dr. Brown. This Old Cowboy. Um, oh, Fire on the Mountain. That's a big one,
hmm
man.
yeah. Did you ever check out the Zach Brown version of "Can't You See" featuring Kid Rock? I remember
I think I
hearing it
heard
on
that.
yeah, because when I worked in this one place in Richmond, Michigan, one of the stations they would play all day throughout the shift was a country music station, and they would play that song a couple of times, the cover version of that track.
But that song's been around. I mean, we're talking like kind of early '70s, and it's sad that I do get teary eyed at some of these concerts, Brandon. You got him in. I was pretty teary eyed at this one, man. You didn't hear me sing much
Hmm.
words, sing, but sad, man. Like you think like in another 10, 20 years, what are some of the best bands live? I mean, like a lot of your '90s stuff. I mean, is going to be on your 40 anniversary tour in another years, 50 anniversary. I mean, those are going to be your 40, 50 anniversary tours. A lot of this '90s stuff.
Hmm.
Another 20 years, past 20 years went by real quick. Okay. So it's real sad. Like these huge songs that might be overplayed. Iconic. You heard them on the radio all your life. You hear the phrase Brown, like
Yep.
the song of your life or the story of your life or whatever. You hear people when they're listening to music. That
So
song is
many
the story of my
times.
life, or that album is the story of my life. And like a lot of these great American songs, man, that you heard on American radio for all these years. All this Southern rock, Brown, man, that's some really good stuff. Like, there's a lot. Look, they had all live. I mean, it was all live. They had the George Jones band, backing
Hmm.
band,
Oh
still
wow.
guitar player
Oh
playing for the
nice.
night there. And a lot of that steel guitar. I mean, you're really going back into some real Western country sounding. I mean, it's kind of country rock, kind of. I mean, it's Southern rock, but it's rock. It's bluesy for sure.
Yep.
Like you definitely. I mean, it's definitely like a bluesy, but it's a lot of things. Like they have. What is that instrument they play on "Heard It When a Love Song"? Is it like a flute or something? What is
I
that?
think it is. I think it's
They call that instrument.
Yeah, it is a flute. And that look up Ian Anderson. He played the flute a lot of times on those Jethro Tull records and songs.
I mean, there was saxophones being played by the flute player. The flute player played the piano as well, keyboards. So there's a lot of different instruments, and something that flute can throw some people off, but it is, it's nice. And Dr. Brown, definitely the oldest. Amy Hagar show is a lot of gray haired people, but this show, they're definitely people like 60s, 70s, older couple, 80. I mean, very an older, like probably the oldest crowd concert I've ever attended, Brown, on this one.
Yeah, because it's from their era.
I mean, it was, but this is what we're gonna get. Like, this is kind of the first time I've seen a band that's only one person in a way, kind of. And the singer is really the most important thing. And yeah, like the singer needs to kind of sound like he did back in the day somewhat. And like the tickets are only were like $30, man. And age does take its toll. And there's other members of the band singing songs on this, but it wasn't the greatest. But you can't be mad, and you can't. It is what it is. And at the end of the day, at the end of the concert, I did get to hug and meet Doug Gray, Dr. Brown.
Nice, good. Yes, I saw that. Yeah, very impressive, dude.
Which was a bonus. Absolutely free.
Yeah.
You go behind, you go by the RV, and there's already a couple people like getting autographs from them, and so it's pretty welcoming, man. Not a big deal.
It's good to hear. Yes, it's always screw these meet and greets. You have to pay thousands of dollars to get an autograph, let alone a selfie with them. You could just go to the backstage area, well, outside of the venue, and wait for the artists to come out. They can pose with you, say hi to you, talk to you, say how you doing here. Your music inspires me. How far do you live? When I was young, I used to listen to your record in my 8-track. That's usually the best way to do a meet and greet. Is after a show.
I mean, Brian, you look at, and even that kind of was a bonus because it's like, well, it's not the greatest Doug Gray vocal performance. It wasn't like the Texas Jam or whatever the famous DVD out they had with them and like Charlie Daniels and everything. But when you meet them, the picture
Volunteer Jam is what you're referring to.
Yeah, the Volunteer Jam. The picture, the autograph is nice, blah blah blah. It's cool. Picture person really is the ticket. You know what I mean? And I mean, you talk about Americana, USA. Obviously, like in Southern rock, Leonard Skinner is number one. A lot of people, but even that band, bro, they don't have any original members playing live. I mean, didn't Gary Washington step down a couple of years ago? Didn't he retire?
Gary Washington. I'm not too familiar with that name, but I just know the only one remaining, and he is
Rosington. Gary Rosington.
He died a couple years back as well.
Dang, I just saw a fucking clip on him today, bro. Did he really? He did, right?
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. Absolutely.
He like black hair, black
yep,
goatee,
wore a hat on his head.
They wore the hat thing. Damn,
yep.
Wow.
In fact, the only original member remaining is drummer Artemis Pyle, and hasn't been involved with the band in how many years? He has his own group. Yeah.
Styx, REO, they're in the 70s, and that's still worth seeing. I mean, they're really good. Like, they're probably the best, that REO and that Styx tour going around. That's probably like, and then they're always touring every year. Like, that's like the best from the 70s. Steve Miller Band really does good live too. I haven't seen them, but that's a bucket list, one. But like, Southern rock, Brown, man. I mean, that's America. That's pure Americana. That's, really, really, there's a lot of emotions on. I can't be mad and angry that we can't sing anymore. It's nothing like that. It's just like sad. It's like towards the end, you can kind of tell this might be one of the last tours, and it's just great. Just really iconic songs, man. I mean, and just that sound, and just like it. There was a lot of cowboy type people there, Brown. I mean, it's Marshall Tucker Band. Like, are they a country band? Yeah, they kind of are. They were playing in Gillies back in the day and all that. And like, they are, with the Charlie Daniels Band and touring with them. And They might have. I mean, I know they hung around, but they probably did tour with Leonard Skinner back in the day too. I'm not too sure, but probably. I mean, it's all the same pond. You know, they hung out with the Allman Brothers, all that stuff. You know, they all rode around together, blah blah blah. So like, I don't know, man, Brown. Like, I would definitely go see him because it is different when you're there. When you watch it, when you watch something on the video and it's like not great, but you're like, man, might as well, let's go, whatever. And you go. It's better when you're there for sure. Um, but it was fun, man.
That's good. Glad you're able to check them
Marshall
out.
Marshall Tucker being the first concert of 2025, and we do have a lot of shows coming up. So, I mean, I do like to give these brief little concert reports on the show, whatever. But we got to get into this overrated played.
Right. Okay, so where's
Like Brown?
ahead.
What is like like when you're cruising on the maybe not necessarily now. Not a lot of people listen to radio now, music on the radio now, but like let's take it back like 15 years ago. Turn on the radio, man. Like on a rock radio, I presume. What band or maybe artist like is just? And are we going to talk about rock? Is this rock overrated or is this all music?
It's all music overrated because there's so much out there that's overplayed, overrated, and in all genres, basically, when you think about it.
I mean, what makes you like just turn it to something else? Like you got to turn it to something else.
Well, to be honest, I said a few times before that I have not listened to the radio not once. Whenever I'm driving in my car or riding my bike,
Really?
usually I stopped after I moved from Michigan to Texas because to me the radio circuit nowadays it's the same shit over and over and over and over. Whether it's the same old feel like making love,
All overplayed. It's all
it's all
over.
overplayed. It's tired of it. It's like, come on. I mean, when you
Ratchet
think about it,
Beauty.
but yet these programmers got the idea that we have to play the same stuff over and over and over to keep the crowd coming back for more, because that's what the crowd that today usually understands, the same stuff over and over and over. Like for example, Thin Lizzy. The only two main songs everybody else knows is Jailbreak, The Boys Are Back in Town, but yet they don't know about Emerald. They don't know about Still in Love with You, let alone Black Rose or Angel of Death or something from the album Thunder and Lightning, like a Cold Sweat, which is a badass song because it features John Syke on that track as well as the whole album. But yet
So
there were
songs like um get on my here I come to get on my own.
Yep, exactly. But yet
Here I go again.
Here I Go Again, or like a Fool for Your Lovin', or the Still the Night, but yet they'll ignore the early Whitesnake before John Sykes, before Aisley Dunbar, before Neil Murray came into the fold.
Well, like
They'll,
White Snake is not going to be on the top of my list. Like maybe the song "Here I Go Again," but I still like breaks in that song. I mean, bro, we got to agree, Brown. To agree, like the number one overplayed,
mm-hmm.
not overrated, but overplayed. Number one's got to be AC/DC, bro. Like
Back in Black.
Be Back in Black, Shoot to Thrill, Hell's Highway to Hell. I can go with
Those
go without
overplayed
that.
tracks. Let's not forget Thunderstruck. That has been overplayed and overrated so many times.
For those about to, I mean, really, those.
For those about to rock, we salute you. I thought it was a better produced album than Back to Black, to be honest
Like
with
that.
you.
A lot of people say that, but like, and why they're overplayed.
No, because I'm not
because it's
too
so good. It was
I know
so
it
good.
is.
And, like when Back in Black the album came out, buy it.
Well, I actually want to be honest. My sister had the vinyl version of it, the original vinyl copy on Atlantic Records. And whenever she would hang out with friends out the door, out of the house, I would sneak into her room, listen to the album by myself, in pitch black in my room, no light song, and get the vibes from that album. And you know what? I guess she kind of figured it out that I did this because she did the same thing with my Pink Floyd The Wall album. But you know what? We were talking about that, and we looked at each other and say, "Hey, could you blame us?" Nope, not one bit.
Say Pink Floyd's overplayed.
I know The Wall is. I know, especially Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
Wait, I mean, like you go to any clothing
You know,
store, you see.
segregation and all that, like, or separation. That we don't need no blah, 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 blah. That is one of the most overplayed songs. What is the most? Look, I mean, overrated. I'm going to throw in Nirvana.
Oh yeah, when it comes to
Got to be the
alternative
most.
grunge.
They have to be the most number one overrated band. Maybe overrated. I mean, just but like you gotta. I mean, watching. I mean, when you go on YouTube, Brown, you can. I mean, there's so many like people have videos from the '90s. Home movies from the '90s, or obviously you see like concerts from the '90s and
Hmm.
pictures from the '90s, or just any era, and you see what people are wearing and blah blah blah. But like around that '90s era, early '90s, and as much cookie cutter, polo, tuck in the shirt, khaki, tuck in the shirt with blue jeans and wearing white tennis shoes, just basic. You see, '90s was wild. The '90s was a whole nother, like it was so basic in some spots, but you get into all these subcultures, whether it's professional wrestling, whether it's the industrial scene, Dr. Brown, whether it's the
Hmm.
whole goth scene back in the '90s, and
Yep.
whether it's the whole festival scene and Red Hot
Lot
Chili Peppers and just
Lollapalooza.
yeah, like all that, all those bands, and a lot of them sounded like a lot, the same or whatever, and not much. That's why I like a lot of these '90s shows live. Like it's, like the '80s is the best because the guitar solos and just the fast playing. I mean, live that's great. Iron Maiden and all that. The
Hmm.
'80s stuff is the best live.
I
People, I
agree.
mean,
I agree 100%. I think if you ask me, the
the
80s stuff was
music.
a lot more better. Yes. Whereas
I mean, I mean,
to me, the
one of-
90s was more sensitive, laid back, toned down.
and obviously, like Green Day, they have the punk stuff, blah blah blah, rock, with that whole um, what's the album like American Idiot album was a
Yeah,
little bit
that
more
was all over
rocky,
the place. That was all over the place around 2005 when that album came out.
obviously minus their politics and stuff. Like they were probably, they. My favorite is like Smashing Pumpkins. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Argue them, and then obviously Alice in Chains. But like Pearl Jam, Brown. Like people saying Pearl Jam are overrated, but there's a big old fan base for Pearl Jam. You know what I'm
They do.
saying?
Next to, I know, I read about that. The legions, a huge legion of fans.
Yeah, bro, like there is. I think, I mean, overall, all that '90s crap is super over. I mean, Foo Fighters, I'm not really, I mean, Bush is obviously there's a lot of Bush people. I think you respect Bush, and
Hmm.
that was a nice, good. That was some cool songs. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff was cool in the '90s. Some of the songs, and so I mean, I would take the '90s stuff over anything now. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff now. I mean, a lot of throwback bands,
Hmm.
now that are newer bands, obviously, but is what you see, rather than that new metal scene of the 2000s. Now it's like that throwback sound. You know what I mean? Like that one group kind of opened that door, but like there's a bunch of bands, bro, that even though like people that opened for the guy that opened for Marshall Tucker, he looked like like a mustache, long hair. It was country rock. I mean, it was a three-piece band, and that dude played guitar, did the solos, and sang. Um, Country rock, is obviously popular, but Brown, like this not I don't know, I'm just so stuck on the 90s, like just the Nirvana crap, man. I mean, but it was so crap looking back at it compared to the 80s, but like looking at some of the 80s stuff, you know, a lot of the glitter, a lot of the shine, a lot of the makeup, obviously. You know, a lot of that maybe stuff kind of got
Well,
old, but it was just
let
all the
me add.
partying, you know.
Yeah, let me add to that. That was way overrated, and I think that's what kind of like killed that genre. Whereas when the grunge alternative scene started in 1991, it was something different. It was something fresh. You know, like these were songs about real issues, real people, real circumstances. Whereas the hair metal, towards the end of the 80s, it was like the same old party, drink, snort cocaine, you know, bang this chick, bang that chick, you know. It was the same old songs about, oh my darling, I love you so much. Let's get married someday. I'm working my ass off, but the boss doesn't respect me. How can I get him to pay attention to what I do? I work every day and come home. I deserve to party like a rock star because I am a rock star that I am. But it just gets overplayed and overrated and overdone. That's the thing. And when it gets to that point, something new comes in and refreshes it. I mean, the same thing with the alternative grunge scene. I mean, it was getting sensitive, it was getting boring, it was getting cheesy, it was getting to the point where even some 80s bands were trying to latch on to that scene. Def Leppard, Dokken, Warrant tried their hand at the alternative soft stuff there. In fact, you listen to an album called Shadow Life that Dokken put it out in 1997. Sounded completely different to what they did in the 80s. It was all clear guitar, you know, soft stuff, you know, try to be like something like the Wallflowers when you think about it there. But I heard a couple of tracks from that record at a record store. Yeah, I was checking out Listen Before You Buy, and I was like, the fuck is this? You know, oh geez, man. I don't know what they were thinking at that time, but at the time, some of the bands had to try to follow that trend in order to stay afloat. And it was a pity because it's depriving them of, you know, being themselves, being their own identities. Gotta follow along with everybody else, blah blah blah, you know. In fact, here's something else. Don Dawkins said in an interview that their management told him, you know, just be yourselves, wear blue jeans if you want to. And Don was like, no, you don't understand. This is what's trending. This is what's, you know, out there. This is what people are following. We have to do what everybody else is doing. And now he says, when he looks back on it, the manager was right. You know, follow along with this, follow along with that. You know, like, come on. The same thing with hip hop, you know, New Jack Swing. The same thing with rap music. Who cannot forget when MC Hammer, who a couple years before preached about we all need to pray, going from that into to bumps in the hump, bumps in the hump. We let the girls into bumps in the hump. You know, come on. He tried to be gangster himself. I mean, like at the same time, MC Hammer had to do something different because you can't touch this. You know, his old persona was getting overrated and overdone. So I guess the gangster route had to be a last minute option on saving his career. All right. All
Yo,
right.
Dr. Brown,
So,
what
mhm.
about when that song came out, Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla
Oh
Ice?
God, I couldn't
Did you
stand that. I couldn't
really?
stand that crap. I mean, like that moron. This guy, this guy
Come on,
told
I
so
saw,
many
bro. I
damn
saw that was.
lies.
I know he did, but look, I saw a Vanilla Ice like in 9 or something.
Mhm.
That was one of the wild. I mean, it was like in a small club thing, but like it was wild, bro. Like he got all these water bottles and like
Mhm.
sprayed it all over the audience. Brown.
Mhm.
There's people smoking weed in there.
Wow. Go ahead. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. All right, there. I'll be in there in a little bit while, but go shoot us up a bit. All right, thank you. Okay, I'm back there. Now go ahead. We were saying.
But you didn't like it, like even when it first came, like that was.
I was never into I was never into Vanilla Ice because I just
But could
thought
you? It
that
was overplayed too. Was it overplayed? You
it
think?
was way overplayed and overdone, overrated. Because when you think of Vanilla Ice nowadays, you think of that one song. And let's not forget, the sample from Queen's Under Pressure was used in it, the bass line at least. They had to pay him lots of money. He had to pay Queen lots of money because they sampled that one bass line, which begins Under Pressure.
So Queen came out with that first.
Yep, absolutely. Came out in 1980,
Why did he do
81.
that? Like, Ice did that on purpose, just to be a like whatever, or like.
Well, I guess in their minds, the rappers and the DJs, it's like taking something old and making it new again, whether it's a sample from a record or a particular beat or something like that, and of that order. Like, you gotta remember, a lot of these rappers didn't have instruments of their own, so they had to, I guess, use records and loop them over to make them sound the way they sound. I know Public Enemy did some looping from a Isaac Hayes track on one of their tracks, but they did it backwards so Mr. Hayes or anybody else could take Public Enemy to court.
Say say the Rolling Stones are a little bit overrated and maybe overplayed, a little bit of both. I'm not in that camp, but I think Paul III, he's such a big, a lot of these huge Beatles fans are like
Mhm.
way against the Rolling Stones. When you bring like, if you bring up the Rolling Stones to the Beatles, to a Beatles fan, they're like, Rolling Stones is kind of overrated, and I don't see what's really.
Well, that's the fans' perspective.
But that's
Uh,
not me. I could see, I know, Mick Jagger, blah blah blah, and Keith
hmm,
Richards, and how iconic and everything, and all the
the Glimmer
songs.
Twins, as they were
And
known
it's two
as.
different deals. Like maybe the early Rolling Stones, and I
Well,
mean, whatever, '60s, but like two different. Like when you listen to the Beatles and when you listen to the Rolling Stones, they sound completely different, bro. That's not even. So you can't really compare the two. I mean, you can like Rolling Stones, Beach Boys, maybe. I mean, Monkeys, maybe those four. I don't know, but like.
well, the Monkees was a TB, put together TB band, probably considered one of the first boy bands. That was done
Davy
to
Jones, Davy Jones Locker, bro. Come on.
Davy Jones' Locker. You
You
mean
ever heard
Davy
that from?
Jones is, well, that David, you're referring to the Pirates of the Caribbean movie with that title, but Davy Jones had
Yeah.
an album out before, but he did have an album out before joining the Monkees. In fact, he was one of the reasons why the other David Jones changed
Are
his
you
name
telling me
to
the
David
monkeys didn't
Bowie.
tour? The monkeys
Well,
didn't tour?
the Monkees did tour. They actually did. They did some shows, and one of their opening acts was Jimi Hendrix. But
There
he
you
had to be
go.
bumped off because of the simple fact that Hendrix was a little bit too wild, a little too scary to the young girls and boys that are out there that wanted to see the Monkees.
So you would agree? Would you agree with me that I mean, I don't agree with it. I just like. Have you heard people saying that, like about the Rolling Stones? Kind of like,
Well,
they're kind
there
of.
are a lot of bit, so many polls and so many other shows have spoken about that who's better, the Stones or the Beatles. I've heard that so many times in the past, but I think it's
The
safe to say
Beatles,
that
Brown.
both,
The
yeah,
Beatles.
yeah, the both were original when they first started out. They were innovators. They grew up on the
Like Mick
blues,
Jones,
black
Mick
music.
Jones, world's great. Mick Jones, world's greatest. Not Mick Jones. Mick Jagger, world's greatest. Everyone can agree with that. World's greatest
Well,
frontman,
he's
right?
still alive, thank goodness. I mean, he was an inspiration to a lot of people. I mean, Keith Richards was an inspiration to some of the members of Guns N' Roses. I mean, and that fits to say that Keith Richards is probably the ultimate rock and roll time lord. I mean, like, he's
And they're the
outlived
great, and they're really
everybody.
good.
Yeah.
Good live, Brown.
Hmm. and
Deal.
they're still out there touring, even though it's just Keith, Mick, and Ron Wood now.
A little bit pricey on that, brother. A little bit
Yeah,
pricey
true.
on the ticket,
But then again, that's how it is when it comes to legendary bands like that. The Beatles, I don't think will ever get back together because it's just Paul and Ringo right now. But
Paul, Ringo, Yoko Ono, and
well, Yoko was never a member. We all know that, and plus she can't sing with the crap.
maybe she. Come on, man. I look. I'd pay, and this will tell you like kind of like how big I'll pay. Like I'll pay, and look, nosebleed seats. They're usually $60, $100. For the bigger stuff, a little bit more. But I'd pay 300 to see Yoko Ono and
Hmm.
Paul
Paul
Paul McCartney
McCartney.
and Ringo
Yeah.
Starr
It would be
in
nice
fucking
to have them to
nosebleeds.
tour together, that's for sure.
I would play, bro. I would pay big money to see that. I really would. Look, Brown, people don't realize, man, you can listen to a song on YouTube or on a CD or on a record for the rest of your life, but like it's a whole nother experience when you're at a live concert. But bonus, not only when you're close, like I, get
Hmm.
sometimes Marshall Tucker, obviously Judas Priest, me and you, right?
Yeah.
Creed, bro.
Hmm.
Like
Yes.
when you're up close like that, it's a whole nother deal besides a concert live. It's like they're playing just for you, number one. But it's just so many of these things when you go into see. But like when you're getting these huge songs, when you're getting, I mean, that's why I'm not really too mad or whatever about the Marshall Tucker thing because these songs were so big, and it is like you might think, oh, it's like one original member of these bands and blah blah blah, but like when you hear these huge songs live, and it's the band singing, I'm not really talking about a tribute band, but that's even that in there too, Brown, with the entertainment and the excitement. A damn good tribute band. You get a couple drinks in you, you're singing along, you're having a really fun time, dude. Okay, but like when you're these bands live recreate the song for you,
Hmm.
you,
The
and then you get to
public.
go see it and live, right? You got to kind of do your research to see what's live or not. Too. I mean, that's a big thing now. That's why a lot of these. That's why I'm not really ever interested in these newer bands and blah blah blah. Because a lot of it's pre-recorded or off the computer and blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying?
I know. And some of
And
them
look,
try to go ahead.
there's even some even they might have pre-recorded backing stuff, which I'm not too can't be too. I mean, I don't know, bro. I don't know how you. I mean, that could be a whole nother show. Like what you prefer, what you don't like. How big depends on how big the band is. I mean, if you're going to take a couple backing tracks in the back, I mean, does that make up for? You might be sitting in front of them. Yeah, there might be some backing tracks, but you're sitting in front of them, and they're still playing live instruments. That's always, that's why there's
Well,
like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I'm, one live concert, but like,
well,
I don't know, like this Motley Crue stuff. There's so many rumors going around. I mean, they're saying John Five's doing backing tracks. They're saying.
Nikki Six can't play bass. Vince Neil can't
See,
can't
I don't
sing
even
no
know what's
more. And
real on
plus,
that. You know, like
I know it's like so much to shit being tossed about around Motley Crue nowadays. It's geez, they're still remaining on top of the concert circuit, but not for their performances, but for their alleged fake performances. When you think about it,
a lot of the '80s stuff. A lot of it's overplayed. I mean, a lot of the Motley Crue songs they over not really. I mean, they're definitely not overrated. Like Motley Crue, you know what I'm saying?
hmm
But a lot of those Crue songs, "Girls, Girls, Girls" is probably the most overplayed. Maybe
yep,
"Kickstart My Heart." You hear that on TV a
all the
lot.
time, as well as Home Sweet Home, or
Oh
maybe
yeah,
a
yeah,
Smoking
yeah.
in the Boys' Room. But yet, hardly anybody goes back to Public Enemy Number One, or Take Me to the Top, or Danger, or any other tracks. Oh, let's hear the radio play something like She Goes Down, featuring the singer from Cheap Trick doing bridge on that track.
So I'm gonna give you overplayed and overrated, in my opinion. You know, and we can go by individual band members, but I'm gonna throw in Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose,
Mm-hmm.
overplayed, overrated. You know, the songs, blah blah blah. But
Yep.
still got, you know, Slash, you know, on guitar is great, blah blah blah. I'm not throwing him in there necessarily. You know, you gotta have respect for it. You know, Slash is one of the guitar gods. Still, I mean, it's, you know, kind of a newer guitar god. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
exactly. And
definitely a
that's
guitar god up there with, you know, Zach. You know,
Zach Wild.
Zach Wild, and obviously everyone else still alive. You know, blah blah blah. But you know, Angus Young, everything.
I think
But
they'll probably. Well, let me add this. You know, to me, the overplayed and overrated would have to be, of course, Appetite for Destruction. I mean, hardly. Yeah, once in a while they'll play something from Use Your Illusion 1 or 2, but you know, it's always Appetite for Destruction. Appetite for Destruction. I say they always go to that main record.
take me down to the Paradise City where the grass is green and hell no.
Yeah, but yeah,
I mean,
it
Welcome
would
to the
be
Jungle is the most overplayed song too.
beyond that, as well as Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Once in a while they should play something like You're Crazy or It's So
Dr.
Easy.
Brownstone.
Oh yeah, yes. Oh yeah, but I know they're never gonna play One in a Million for Shizzle. That's well known fact.
But look the this overplayed deal. Like, why are these songs so overplayed? Blah blah blah. And I'm just kind of going off of on
Because
the
that's how
radio all your life and what you kind
that
of hear on TV and movies and stuff like that. But
because
like,
that's
I know for a fact that
there
Welcome
he
to the
is.
Jungle came out when Welcome to the Jungle came out, that music video, when Nirvana came out, Smells Like Teen Spirit, that music video. You know, I know at the time that made a lot of money and got a lot of sales and blah blah, blah, and that's why it's so played much and
There he is.
overplayed, is because it made so much money. But the most overrated band, Guns N' Roses, Prince. What do you feel about that?
All
Overrated,
right.
overplayed,
And
Guns N' Roses.
I see Prince Idol has a Cure shirt on them right
The
now.
Cure. Oh my God, dude.
Yep.
Yes, and the Cure.
Oh,
All right. You saw them live, I guess, right?
Music Maniacs live with Dr. L. Brown and YR. And we're missing out on Paul 3, but that's okay. We love you, Paul. Shout out to Paul.
Oh, we're still waiting for Dave Rose to join in call. He was supposed to be a part of this program as well. I tried to add him in, but unavailable.
What?
Yeah, I know. I found out a couple of minutes before we went live that Devious Dave Rose was going to be a part of this program, but fortunately, because I tried to add him in, but no can do. He's unavailable.
Let me recap, if you don't mind, Earl. I
all
heard
these people
YR, the great YR say
go
something
every
about
week.
Guns N' Roses. I
Mhm.
heard
Every week.
they
They're
premiered
invited every
Welcome to the
week.
Jungle late night on a Sunday.
Hmm.
Is that true, YR? They premiered that song on a Sunday night. And they got multiple reviews to where they demanded them to play it again. I heard about that story where Guns N' Roses' first Welcome to the Jungle video debuted.
But
It was
Brown, you were alive. We weren't really alive back when that came out. Brown, you're alive, and I'm not shitting on your
Yes,
age, but it's nice to be older, so you know we could ask you questions
I
about
was
what happened.
21 I was around 21 years old when that
When
record
that
came
came out, I
out.
mean, look, Guns N' Roses was still kind of kick ass, blah blah blah. But like, what did you think of them back then when it came out? Like, you think they were overrated? You think like we're just the
There
girls
was
and
when
the
I
Axl
first
Rose, or you know?
I always thought it was like, wow, this is interesting. The guitar player is wearing a top hat. He's like lunch over his Les Paul. You're like looking very mysterious. The front man's dancing around all over the place with his hair out to here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he
but
was inspired. Guns N' Roses was inspired by rock band Hanoi Rocks.
I know, yes, Rolling Stones, other punk rock groups like a Black Flag. I know Axl Rose spoke highly of them.
Yes, he did.
hmm
Yes, he did.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you think about it, Guns N' Roses. It fits to say that that whole record, probably ended up being the biggest record in throughout 1988, even though it came out a year prior. It just took a while for it to really shoot up like it did.
Right.
But eventually it just caught on and people started talking about it, say, hey, here's a band that's not so soft, not so gentle, because some of the stuff around the top 40 circuit and the throughout much of the 80s was all poppy stuff. Paula Abdul, this group like Tupal, or other these other acts, one hit wonders, and here comes this band out of Los Angeles, rather the Sunset Strip area, and just boom, coming in and knocking down all the
Paul 3.
walls.
Paul 3. We got Paul 3 here real quick, Brown. Paul
Yes.
3,
So
did
I got
you?
like I got
Paul 3, do
like
you
5 minutes.
All right.
I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna throw you some questions. So, Paul 3, do you? I know you're huge Beatles fans like us, but like, are you one of the type of Beatles fans that like say that the Rolling Stones are overrated, overplayed, maybe overdone?
Okay, I have I have some thoughts on the Rolling Stones. I kind of separate the Rolling Stones. Like sometimes, you got the '60s Rolling Stones, and then with like Brian Jones, and then you got like the '70s Rolling Stones, and then you have the '80s Rolling Stones. So I kind of like the '60s Rolling Stones a lot personally, but I've grown a little bit to like the '70s and '80s a little bit. But for me, it's the '60s Rolling Stones. Now I think they are just kind of a. I respect them. Honestly, I do respect them, and their music's fucking timeless.
Yeah, I got to see them live, bro.
Yeah.
They're gonna do something, I think, this year or something again. I gotta go.
I do respect them, but you have to look into. We should include this into like rock controversies for a show. But Bill Wyman, the bass player, married like a 14-year-old and had like a really creepy relationship.
Mandy's, yeah. Actually, what it was, her name was Mandy Smith. She was a young model, and Bill dated her, but waited till she reached the age of 18 for her
Fall through
to
with
get
that.
married to the guy.
Fall through with that little bit of liberalism in them, bro. Back then.
And by the way, let me throw this in there. I don't want to interrupt, but also Bill Wyman's son started dating Mandy Smith's mom soon afterwards.
Back then, you could date like 12 and 13-year-olds. It wasn't like
Okay, Paul 3.
regular deal.
Yeah, you gotta.
But
Yeah, we
still, it's wrong, no matter what.
Sorry, my hair looks bad. I got rained on.
Did he marry a 14-year-old or something?
No,
He
like I
was
said,
underage.
he dated her.
Underage.
He dated,
creepy.
yes. Yeah, it is kind of creepy. But then again, the one who did marry someone under that around that age was Jerry Lee Lewis. He married his own cousin, who was 13 at that time. And that was to compete with Elvis Presley, who had dated Priscilla when she was 15 years old. And they waited until she was old enough to get married for them to actually get married. When you think about it.
All right. Give me another question. I got like a minute. Give me another question. Hurry up.
Guns N' Roses, overplayed, overrated. Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses are fucking crazy overrated. It's actually insane how overrated they are. They are one of those bands that actually don't get the insane appeal. And the fact that they didn't let Steven Adler come back, I think shame on them. And I think it's a shit show. And I do like Duff McKagan.
I put Guns N' Roses in the 90s band category.
Yeah, no, they're definitely a 90s band for sure because Axel is a fat retard now pretty much and like he can't shit.
Look, I'm waiting to see. It's a cheaper show. It's like a $40 nosebleed seat. It's not bad, but I want to go see because I want to see Slash and all that, right? But I still want to see bad singers. When you go see the concert, it sucks, but it's like the crowd singing along too. So it kind of if you're fucked up enough, it's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it would be better for the crowd to sing along with the singer that actually sings. So when we hear Axl Rose nowadays, he sounds like a Minnie Mouse.
That's why the tickets are $40 for the cheapest seat.
Yeah,
cheaper really, $25. But thank you for that, Paul 3. But Prince, you have to respect Slash through all this.
Yeah, that's true. He's been around the block. He played with Michael Jackson. He has his own solo stuff. He did something with the R&B group Backstreet at one point. Blackstreet, I meant to say. My bad.
Now, to give the respect, obviously everyone respects him, but like Prince or Dr. Brown, would y'all say Snoop Dogg is a bit overrated?
Well, Snoop, I don't know about overrated, but I know he made the good decision to leave Death Row Records.
I mean, you do
And
see him everywhere and blah blah blah. But I'm talking like, I mean, he is a pioneer.
that's true, yeah.
Iconic, MTV was huge. Was it just a huge deal back in the day? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like you talk about just as a brand, MTV, and
Yep.
obviously others, but like, I mean, MTV, they had that, the beach party stuff. They had a lot of shows. They had a lot of these people on. It wasn't just rock in the '80s. I mean, obviously,
It was
the
everything.
'90s, but
Alternative, rap, hip hop, rock. It was all that. That's what regular radio is supposed to be like. And MTV at that time was like regular radio.
now did that band, could be a little bit overplayed. I think they did some music with WWF back
Hmm.
in the day for
Which one?
DX, but did Rage
Rage
Against the
Against?
Machine? Yeah,
No,
is
that
that
was somebody else. That was Jim Johnston. He did pretty much all the compositions for the theme songs of those pro wrestlers. Stone Cold
they
Steve
have a
Austin, The
band?
Undertaker.
Had the live band performance of that band once. Then they opened.
What?
No, I think the ones I remember were Motley Crue for one episode of Monday Night Raw when he introduced Test, the Motley Crue roadie who later became a pro wrestler himself. And
Yeah,
also,
we
by
have
the
to
way,
look into that because I think like I'm talking DX in the '90s, Road
mhm,
Dogg and everything.
yep,
Them coming out and it was a live band performance of their theme song, and
hmm
the singer I think had dreads and all that. Like what's his name from the
Zach
singer
De La
from?
Rocha from the Rage Against the
I
Machine. I'm not
swear
too
it was
sure. I
Ray.
gotta look
Are
at
you sure it's Jim Jones Brown?
Jim Johnston. That's his
Jim
name.
John Jim John.
Yes, I
Bro,
remember
I
hearing a
swear that
podcast
maybe
on it with who he's
maybe they
featured
did that
on.
on purpose, Brown, so they could sound maybe like the sound at that time that rap rock sound. They wanted us to do that, so maybe.
New
I
metal.
mean, I'm agreeing with you. I'm like, it makes sense to but like they obviously like took that from Rage Against the Machine. Like it
Pretty
sounds
much,
just
yes.
like
Rebellious, anti-establishment. That was the theme of DX at that time. Go
if they were
against the
doing if
tradition, the
Rage Against the
grain.
Machine were doing songs now, it'd be like "Fuck you, Trump," "Fuck you, MAGA." I don't even
More,
care.
I would not be surprised. That's how they are. Rage Against the Machine played the 2000 Democrat convention, and that turned into a riot. The same way the DNC became the same riot when the MC5 played it back in 1968. But it was Jim Johnston who did the theme music for Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, a couple of times, often had other artists perform theme songs. Like Disturbed did a track called Glass Shatters for Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was for a couple of years after the year 2000 begun. Let's not forget the Big Show theme song, which is kind of bluesy. That was Jim Johnston.
All right, so let's go back to here, Brown. Like,
Hmm.
I don't want to be controversial, but like, what did you? Oh, Michael Jackson, man,
Mm.
a little bit overrated, brother, or
Way overrated. Especially the
wow.
Thriller album. But then again, an album like Thriller, which sold thousands and thousands and thousands of units all over across the world. I mean, like they're going to go to that one no matter what. But yet, once in a while, they'll pay attention to stuff from the bad album or the dangerous album.
Brent, what do you think about that Michael Jackson being overrated? Do you agree with that or no?
Oh, man, no.
No, Brown. The Thriller album is great. That whole come on, I can play that whole
I was
thing.
never into Michael Jackson.
Oh
I
my
never
god.
was. I never was in a member. I was into heavy metal pure big time. Maiden, Priest, Sabbath. I remember one Grammy show that I was praying that the police would
Yo,
win over
Prince, go
Michael
ahead.
Jackson, but unfortunately,
That means, hold on, Earl. That means since you're not a Michael guy, that means you're Team Prince. You're a musician.
He is a Prince is overrated
Well,
more than
no, Purple Rain is overrated compared to stuff from 1999, compared to stuff from Love Sexy or Around the World in the day. That's way overrated. Purple Rain. When they think of Prince, they think of Purple Rain, the movie and the album.
I agree.
What about Parade? What about the first record? What about the other songs he sang, like I Feel For You, which Shaka
you can't
Khan
compare
covered a
Michael
couple years
Jackson and
later?
Prince. You can't compare Michael Jackson to Prince, bro. They're two different.
Well, yeah, I know the two difference, but they were the two biggest acts in the '80s and in the R&B realm.
Yep, they were. They're the pioneers of the R&B realm in the '80s.
Yeah, I think when you think about it, I think one person got overshadowed, and that was Rick James.
What about Madonna? Overly hyped?
Way overhyped and way overly played.
Yeah,
and
Madonna.
I mean that 120%.
What
But
about
women like her, Brown? Right?
I never really cared for her.
Why are you
What,
agree?
Prince?
Overly hyped?
Overhyped, overplayed.
Madonna would be like compared to like Nicki Minaj of now or something. Like all the women wanted to be her, bro.
Absolutely, dress like her, think like her, like take over the world. It's all this bullshit, like. But do you think? Which Madonna would you prefer? The Madonna nowadays?
I'm a virgin, motherfucker. Don't come in me like a virgin from a
Hold on, I want to say,
like
I want to
metal version.
I want to chime in on what Earl said today. May
Yeah.
I chime in on what Earl said today?
Yep.
Earl made a statement today in one of his videos about a woman who was a gold digger saying how much you should spend on a woman. Saw that video? That's some bullshit, bro. That's bullshit.
Yeah. The bullshit that this woman is demanding that much.
That's some gold digging shit right there. That's the problem with some of these women. Some of these women get tied up with these baby daddies and expect these baby daddies to give them that type of money. So I know exactly what you mean.
Exactly. Like I said, this is probably one of the biggest reasons why I cannot get into a serious relationship, because now the women now these days, except the ones that I meet at the castle and the city club back at D-Town, it's like, they got these high perspectives of themselves, like they demand everything. Like Prince, you got to check out this video, by the way. It's a video that I have saved. I was about to do a video review on it. It's a man and woman that Red Lobster. The guy was late, and the woman was expecting him to pay for not only their meals, but the meals for her two kids, who the guy hasn't yet even meet. Exactly. The guy say, I'm not paying for your two kids' meals. And the woman's like, yes, you are. Yes, you are. You don't think you owe me? We had to go to Red Lobster. You couldn't take me anywhere else.
Damn.
Exactly.
Yeah, Dr. Brown, I don't want you taking me to Red Lobster, motherfucker, because that shit is nasty and it is way. I want you to spend more on me for our date.
Exactly. That's what. In fact, I know, though, where do you guys get this, and where do you think these women get these entitlement from? Do they see it from these rap videos where they see all the rappers and their wives, these female rappers, talking about how they get tons of cocks in their twat holes, or they get all the, well, that's when you think about it, that's what they brag about. My pussy's this, my pussy's this, my pussy always wet, but you got to work hard to get into it.
Earl, do I have
permission to always like the big thing, and now it's like, you got to have a big old fat ass, like.
Yeah, ass sticking out to the, the ass sticking out where you can put a dinner tray on it without it tipping over.
Earl, do I have your
we got to talk. We got to talk about that overrated song, Brown.
Okay, the most overrated. I don't know. There's so many out there. It's hard to
That
so
one that
many
goes
out there.
and come on down the Green River.
Can you just describe? May I say it?
What? Hmm?
You
Prince?
describe the type of woman that go for Jacob RP.
Come on, this is not a drama show, guys. This is a music show.
Those are
We
milfs.
get into the
Lying, Earl. Earl, help me out here. Those are milfs.
we get into the Green River.
Mega
song.
milf would be a perfect term for that.
Highly overrated. John Fogerty, CCR, highly overrated. Iconic, yes. Rated, brother. What do you think, Dr. Brown?
I know it's the same thing that I think it fits to say that some of the overrated stuff that we're talking about are the ones that are most overplayed on commercial rock stations, whether it's so-called classic rock or regular rock or heavy rock. I mean, like, come on, geez. I mean, like, don't get us wrong, John Fogerty's a damn good songwriter, but like, I think it's time, like, radio stations ought to start playing other songs from CCR, like their cover version "I Put a Spell on You," or their cover version of Marvin Gaye's "I Heard It Through the Grapevine," which I heard a few times, most excellent. And let's not forget Susie Q, which I remember hearing is about 8 minutes long.
Now, Prince, we didn't really throw Motley Crue into the overrated, but like, Girls, 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 Home Sweet Home, a little bit overplayed.
Overplayed. Overplayed. They're most definitely.
But really, honestly, AC/DC is the most overplayed. I mean, some of the Ozzy stuff, Crazy Train, you know what I'm saying?
That's way overrated, way overplayed. I mean, when you think about it, I think, geez, they're ignoring Steal Away the Night. They're ignoring, SATO from Diary of a Madman or Little Dolls. And yes, Prince, I see the Motley Crue t-shirt you have.
Gotta love Motley Crue, baby.
Yeah, the early Motley Crue when it was when they had their shit together. Speaking of Motley Crue, would you listen to albums like the self-titled from 1994 with John Corabi, or would you listen to Generation Swine?
I got that on A-Track.
I
Swine, brother.
only listen to anything Vince Neil was a part of. Anything without Vince Neil, I don't know.
What?
Vince Neil to me was the best front man in Motley Crue.
You're a Motley Crue purist, brother.
Yeah. So the album they did with Corabi doesn't sit well with you.
Vince. I'm Team Vince.
Okay. Well, what about Generation Swine has Vince, but they kind of shifted towards the more industrial side on that record. I mean, I heard a couple of tracks from it. It kind of like has a chaotic twist to it when you think about it.
Right.
Chaotic, somewhat industrial twist to it, I should say. I mean, Afraid is pretty good. Other tracks are pretty good. I've listened to a couple of tracks from that album here on YouTube. And I did listen to a couple of stuff from the self-titled record with John Corabi, Uncle Jack's a pretty good, interesting one because it's talking about a relative who's a child molester.
Oh my God.
Okay. And let's not forget Hooligan's Holiday. And also check out the Skinny Puppy remix of that track.
I like some Skinny Puppy.
What albums do you have from them?
Only the albums you put me on, Earl. That's the only thing that. Yeah.
Earl, you taught him about
Skinny Puppy until Earl put me on to Skinny Puppy.
Well, do you have any? Did you ever? Well, find the nearest record store that's around your Prince and find their albums on vinyl. That are out there now on vinyl. Thanks you, Network, for doing this.
Vinyl's coming back, and a lot of people don't appreciate that, man.
What? That you're coming back?
So with the
vinyl. Well, I appreciate
Brown, no
it because
one does vinyl anymore, bro. You get a damn CD.
No.
CD is the best.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Cheapest. It's the cheapest. It's the best.
Yeah, but I don't think there's.
$10
I don't think
you
there's
get a CD. $5,
yeah,
$10.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's hardly any room for CDs nowadays. You go to your nearby Walmart, there's
Bro, motherfucker, an
vinyl.
album's bigger. An album's 4 times bigger than a CD. What are you
Yeah, but
talking
that's
about?
what. Yeah, but that's what we grew up listening to as kids. Vinyl albums. I had a tremendous collection of vinyl back in Michigan. Raw Power by Iggy and the Stooges. The original pressings of Pink Floyd's The Wall or Animals. I want to find the 2018 remix of Animals. If I ever find it, I'm getting it for shizzle.
For shizzle.
Hmm.
Would you say, Brown? Would you? I mean, some of these groups are like, what we call the goats, greatest of all times. But like,
Yep.
and you have to put, a lot of these people in that place. But like, would you say Elvis is overrated, or is he truly like the king of entertainment, of being an entertainer? Blah blah blah.
Well,
Like,
well, he would be a lot more the king of entertainment if he created his own dance moves.
so you're shitting on
I'm not
you're
shitting
not a
on
really
Elvis,
big. You're not a big.
well, I'm not that
Not
much. I
into
mean, he
Elvis,
came
like.
up with some good stuff. Hound Dog was a good one. Can't Help Falling in Love with You is a pretty good one. I mean, like, but in terms of being overrated,
I'm cold and
overrated, definitely he was overrated because when you think of
yeah, bro, like like you can say like a song is overrated, but Elvis is the king, bro. Come on,
yeah,
man.
but
Like,
it was sort. Of course, let's not forget Elvis would be overrated to overweight later in the 70s. Because in some of the photos and stories I've seen of him when he was doing his Vegas residency and other tours, he was
yeah,
he was packing on the pounds.
Fried bacon sandwiches.
Peanut butter and banana sandwiches as well. Taking all these pills left and right and left.
Make you bloated. Make you bloated.
Yep. And all that bloatedness, was potentially led to him dying on his throne, I guess you would say. The toilet.
Dr. Brown,
Little
Dr.
joke
Brown,
that was thrown around a few times.
Dr. Brown, if I can, I mean, I know I can do it, but would you agree, just for the sake of history, YouTube history,
Mm-hmm.
would you show up and monetize this 500?
I doubt it very much.
Real, just for the sake of the history though of YouTube and everything. Maybe like Joe might be like, "Hey, bro, like, Brian, I'm
Well,
sorry
I
for,
would
if
call
I
it.
offended you in the past."
Well,
But
if it's on a Saturday, I would probably. Well, if me and Joe were had to have a conversation,
yes,
work everything out once and for all, and like let him know that I've emerged past that phase. I'm a lot more mature now. I've been doing a lot of other stuff, music sets, the soundscape sets. Like he doesn't have to go back to those clips.
because
And
Joe did look, and I understand where, and you have every right, and you're right. I mean, Joe was a dick and everything. We get that, but look, Joe. He was a part of our Judas Priest history. We called in his show. I mean, that's
yes,
why I
he
kind of
did.
go back
Yes.
to, he kind of came through on that for us, and he didn't have to let us on. Like they're talking about wrestling or some bullshit back then, obviously. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's YouTube history in this community, and I think, obviously YR is number one in, meeting. Obviously we met, blah blah. Everyone knows that, but like. We can really, this community is deader than a doornail, and it always be like that. But we could really make special, we can make special shows, bro, with people in the United States and maybe some parts of Canada or whatever, bro. Because, with this Trump thing going on, I mean, people are really going to start saving and getting a lot of money coming out. And life isn't always about having. I know it's hard on Joe right now getting money and working, but like life doesn't have to be all about trying to make money, even though it kind of is. Kind of everyone works, blah blah blah. But like Joe is the tip of the spear on YouTube. He is, number one. And I really do think that Joe, 500 episodes. Bygones be good. Bygones with Dr. Brown.
I
Dr.
would
Brown
love
isn't
to.
here.
I would love to.
Dr. Brown
I'd
isn't
love
here to
to.
threaten anyone. I mean, Dr. Brown,
Yeah.
like we do these music shows, and Dr. Brown, really, Dr. Brown is all about the music, man. I mean, wrestling's in there too. Dr. Brown has a passion for wrestling. Maybe not,
TV and
you know,
everything else, everyday
classic
life.
stuff, everything.
Mhm.
Like he's just.
We need,
Joe
speaking
has
of
said
that,
a lot
Earl.
of nice things about you before, so I know
Hello?
he knows.
Hello.
Prince is talking,
Speaking of-
YR.
Prince, go ahead, brother.
Speaking of that, we need to do a show of wrestling. Don't get me wrong, I love the Music Maniacs, but we need to bring back WrestleManiacs because wrestling right now is hot right now, and it's WrestleMania season, and we're
Yeah,
not
Brian, we
covering
gotta
wrestling.
hit, especially
cover
closer to WrestleMania. Brian, you gotta start watching some, at least the highlights on YouTube. You'll get caught
will.
up quick, like with some
Yes.
stuff, But we
Wrestling's
gotta
hot.
throw
Right?
that in there.
Mhm.
But you gotta print. You gotta be here on time and stuff. You can't be here 45 minutes in the show. And me and Brad trying to carry
Come
the show.
on,
You gotta
leave me and Paul 3 to our rock and roll schedule, please.
all three to the. Yo, Brown, they do show up late.
And me and Paul show up late because we're rock stars. Tell him, or that's a rock and roll.
Yeah,
Thing.
but what band are you playing? Paul 3 plays in the band. I show up time all the time, dude.
You guys are my band. YR's my guitar
thank you,
player.
man.
Earl's my
Yeah.
lead guitar player. I'm the lead singer. You're my band. I'm just
Thank
a
you, honey.
snappy singer. I'm like
Right.
Axl Rose. I show up late to the
I
concert.
know. We still got to do a 4-way, a 3-way guitar jam sometime soon. Probably next week, hopefully.
Yes, we do. We do. We got to
Yeah.
do that again.
Well, but going back to Joe Cronin, if we were to be on this call, we could have a smooth and calm, collected talk about everything, and it would be nice, to make amends with them when you
It'd
think
be like a
about
one
it.
night only thing, bro. Because look, it's episode 500, so I mean, it'd be fun to listen. I mean, I'm just telling you what, like a fan of Joe Cronin's show throughout the years, not a new fan. I'm talking a fan like 5+ years.
Mhm.
An average fan would want to see, and like that would probably be everyone. Brown, maybe even. I mean, it's the Tommy appearance would be really tough to get, but like.
That's true. Or Dave
Can't- I
Rose
mean, look.
appearance.
I mean, like that's the Dave Rose appearance is more possible than anything. I think it's
Yeah.
just a part. It's bro. You got to think. Look, we all found each other. We all got to know each other. We all started talking to each
Yes.
other
Mhm.
through Joe Cronin first.
That's right, Brown. That's right,
So, I
Brown.
mean, there might be some here and there that whatever, but ultimately, we all. I mean, whether you hate Joe or love Joe, Joe is always going to be here on YouTube. He's at his lowest point now, getting donos and like in his life right now because he doesn't. It's just hard to get money for him right now in his life, and so he's really depressed. It is sad, and a lot of people feel for him right now, and a lot of people praying for Cronin. But it always does turn around. Like the bad comes with the good, blah blah blah. Monetization. He's going to make thousands of dollars, and it's all going to round up, and it's all going to be great.
Well,
But
get
from a
into
fan's
this.
perspective, Brown, like a lot of people would want to. I'd want to hear you on there, obviously, and Brown through Joe. We didn't even know who each other were. Like Joe is always going to be the tip of the spear, and Joe was always the seedling to the sprout of the community. Like everyone met each other through Joe, man, Brown, and we went to Judas Priest concert together because of
Yes.
Cronin. Because I started
Yes.
listening to Cronin show, and I mean, obviously super ugly with you, but you know what I mean. Like
Hmm.
it's like Axl Rose and Guns N' Roses. Like we might not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like be all into them or whatever, but you still gotta. Damn, bro, like. Guns N' Roses was really big, dude, and they're huge. And it's like, oh my god! And it might not be like the Joe Cronin or the Guns N' Roses of 2005 or 20 years ago, but it's like it's still them. They're real people. They're real humans. They're pro-human. Joe Cronin is more pro-Trump than ever before. Pro-America, everything. Okay, and that's a huge bonus, Brown. You got to respect. He's one of our MAGA members, one of our MAGA brothers, Brown. Thank you, man.
Earl, do you like how he says your name, Earl? I love it. I just love that
Mhm.
Texas Brown. I love it. It's
Prince, what
so,
about you, Prince? Would you worm your way into Discord and get into Cronin's show?
Well, let me
I-
say this first.
personally-
I have to
personally,
get
I-
Discord from my phone.
Yeah, get that download and everything. Look, I mean, I want to work in a video. I'm gonna get a cake and everything probably.
Yes.
I baked you a cake, man.
Gonna do the whole we're gonna do that, but do a nice video thing for Joe to play. But I'm saying, please, man, Brian, do for the community, do for the people.
Well, like I said, let's Joe and I have a conversation sometime soon. Either on this platform or another
Discord,
show that we
maybe.
do. Discord, maybe. Who knows? Have to wait and see.
Because you don't really look. There is a lot of look. There is big. I mean, look. I knew you through Joe Cronin's show. I mean,
Yes.
you used to come on to monetize. You used to come on the shows like a regular.
Yeah.
Obviously, you didn't dig what Joe was saying. I'm not trying to get into that, but like at the
I
end
know
of the
that's
day,
in the past.
monetize this 500 is coming up, and very important show. I mean, probably the least person is going to come on is Ken. That's the least possibility.
Oh, I know that for a fact. It would be also nice if JB was
Tommy,
also to join in.
The real Tommy is a least possibility, but I feel like Dave and you are like the biggest possibilities that could come on. So
You know what would be interesting if since monetize this is on a Saturday night, I could possibly call in from my phone on Discord, from the castle, show them around the castle a bit like I did with Five Off Ken when he was live on his program on that one Saturday night. Probably get another Dominatrix to say hi to him.
And you're gonna microwave your bowl up with some Zatarans. Asian shrimp Alfredo. Zatarans. Get that Cajun taste inside of you. Yo, monetize this 500. Prince, hopefully you can save up some money so you can donate. Brian,
Yes,
could
sir.
you possibly donate to Cronin that night or no?
Me?
Yes.
No, sorry. My money, I have never donated to Joe Cronin, and the money that I earn goes to rent, paying bills. I'll be paying back my sister for the help she contributed to the cataract surgeries I had last year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is your eyes doing good? Do you still wear glasses or no?
Yeah, I would. The wearing glasses I have right now are basically for distance viewing and driving purposes. I'm hoping to give me some contact lenses of the same prescription.
And yeah, and it's like they mess it up on your. They messed up your glasses.
No. That was well. I haven't worn contacts lenses since the start of the first surgery.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was way last year. And the contacts I have right now are way outdated, and the different prescription now compared to the eyeballs I have now.
Prince, what is some of the songs or bands that is overrated to you that they just overplayed and just,
Poison was overrated.
Come on.
Yeah.
Well,
he does have a point because when you think about it, when you think of glam metal, they think of Poison.
That was overly hyped.
I know you never have to wait. You should. Oh yeah. Come on, Bret Michaels, bro. Fuck out of here. Bret Michaels is a way better singer now than Vince Neil live. Poison is the only band from the 80s that's original, bro.
Another band that's overly hyped, Pussycat.
Dickhead.
Pussycat?
No, I'm thinking. My bad. Not.
I don't like your fucking wrestling opinion, man. I don't like your musical one either, bro. Why are you gonna shit on Poison like that?
If you're talking about the Pussycat Dolls, oh gosh.
Yeah, they were
being nasty. Poison's my favorite band.
Was overly hyped.
Dickhead.
There's a lot of bands I can say overly hyped, but I don't want to offend anybody.
Why don't you go crash out and stab a white person in the chest?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Prince, go ahead, Bo.
Anyway, I just want to say,
you look like that motherfucker too, dude.
Jesus Christ, why are let Prince speak?
Prince looks like
his accent.
Prince looks like Carmelo.
Brown.
Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, but that's how
like-
people speak. But then again, some people have
Right.
said, I know Dave Rose
Don't
mentioned
get-
I
don't-
often
don't-
mispronounce words a few times. So,
Ah,
He
sometimes.
sounds like
Look,
Elvis to me.
Prince, you do look
What?
like that dude who stabbed the kid in the chest at the track meet. Did
Jesus
you hear about that?
Christ.
What? Jesus.
What?
Brand, look him up.
Take
Look
it
him
easy,
up,
Wyatt.
man.
Take it easy.
Well,
Take it easy.
Did y'all
Take-
look it up?
Take it easy.
Kid
Take it
who
easy.
Prince, you
stabbed,
fucking
stabbed. No, not
take
that.
it easy. Wyatt. Take
No.
it easy.
Prince,
Well,
you damn
what-
fruit bag.
what's the headline again? Kid who stabbed who?
17-year-old stab. Just type that in. It's everywhere. Stabbing. 17-year-old track meet stab. Prince looks like the guy who did it, but look.
Old
No, I do not.
stabs.
Earl,
Stabs.
stop
Prince,
it.
you seen that though?
Don't encourage this. Earl.
Sister, 60 times. 13-year-old girl. Boyfriend. Mother. Which one?
At a school, Brian, at a track meet.
Brown.
The
Brown.
sister,
Don't-
yeah, the sister.
No,
man.
no, guys. I'm not
Prince.
going into that. Jesus Christ, bros.
Prince.
Brown. We don't need to entertain this
Prince, go ahead.
behavior. Brown.
I'm not trying to entertain this behavior. I'm not trying to entertain anything. I'm trying to get down to the program here.
Let's
Oh,
get
but
back
we-
Guys,
to
oh,
I
that.
gotta go and live.
but we can shit on Fuego for a half hour. That's great, but we can't make a little joke about Prince.
Well,
Fucking
Fuego had it
Let's
covered.
shit on Fuego. Yeah, shit on Fuego. Shit on everyone that fucking left the community. Shit on all the great people that left. We're fucking great. Now we
Mr.
all got
Fuego-
a bunch of fucking
Fuego
was
retards
great.
Is he-
on all
Wait a
these
minute,
goddamn
wait,
shows. We have all retard,
Dates
idiot
MILFs.
liberal
He's
supporters on
irrelevant.
these shows like Prince.
Irrelevant. He's a MILF.
Prince, the Obama guy. Prince, you gotta go campaign for Obama. Barack.
He has to go. Fuego has to go with his MILF.
He
Love
already
himself.
left. He already left.
He left the
Good.
community. Why do y'all are obsessed? Y'all talk about it and shit on him for an hour. What's up with that?
Oh, by the way,
Good.
He left, bro.
Speaking
that's
of
what he
Not
is.
Fuego,
here
he
anymore. Who does
That's what he
that?
is.
They laugh.
well, let me
Who does that?
add this. Let me
Who
add
talks
this.
shit about people when they leave completely and do shows no more? Who does? Like, bro, they left. Why even mention them anymore? You know what I'm saying? They're gone. They did what you wanted to do because all these people, they're so bad. They fucking left. They're gone. So we don't need to ever mention these people ever again, bro, in any way.
All right.
And
all right,
if people want to come on
Okay,
the
let's-
show, if people want to come on the show, that's fine. But we have a ban list, and that's SC Steve and that's Jacob RP. That's on that ban list. So
Yeah, enough said.
enough
Enough
said,
said.
brother. But let's go into the overrated portion
Mhm.
of the Beatles catalog, which I think is the
Mm.
70s. I love the early Beatles, the black and white Beatles, the suit Beatles. You know but 70s
mop
stuff.
top
I'm not a
beat-
big fan.
early
You know,
six-
Question
60s.
based on the Beatles.
the
Earl.
hippy dippy stuff. I'm not a big fan of. Blah blah blah. Sergeant Pepper stuff. What do you say about that, Brown? You think that was a little bit overrated, or?
No, but well, I don't know. Well, here's the thing.
Question on that.
Go ahead, Prince.
I seen a lot of Elvis Presley movies. What was his beef with the Beatles? Why didn't Elvis like the Beatles?
I don't know. He hated the Beatles.
Why though? That's the
Hmm.
question. Why?
I don't
What
know.
was
I don't know. I got to look this up sometime. Let me see if I could
But
find
it's-
it right
it's
now.
the Elvis Presley's biopic, even in Priscilla, they had a scene where they asked Elvis in the Priscilla movie, "You like listening to the Beatles?" And he said, "Don't you play no damn bug in my house?"
What?
Yeah. In the Priscilla movie, the guy playing Elvis, the guy says, "Do you like Elvis?" He said, "Don't you play no Beatles in my house." And Elvis, it's just the Beatles. And then he's like, "I don't care. You're not playing that in my house." So at Graceland, one of the Memphis Mafia guys wanted to play a Beatles record, and Elvis did not allow that to happen.
But here's the thing. It says here, while Elvis Presley ended up
Put your finger on my coolie and make me go. Ah.
Hey, focus. Go ahead, Brown. You were saying?
Brian, you cut in and out.
Brown, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, can you hear me?
Brown, put your finger on your coolie and go, so we can
Hey,
hear
hey,
you.
hey, 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 hey. Brown is speaking. Go ahead, Brown. Brown, you
Right.
there? We're not hearing anything.
Right.
Brown, you're gonna have to get a new headset. I'll send you the
Oh,
40.
This is a new one. Yes, I don't know why it's doing
Oh.
it. Can you hear me now?
Yo, is it plugged in or do you have a Bluetooth?
It's plugged in. Can you hear me?
Hello, Earl.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Earl,
We
you're
can
not
hear
saying
you.
anything.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
There you are. There you are.
There you are. Yes. Finally, it was saying the microphone was not working. I had to change to, oh, gosh. All right. Okay. Back to Elvis and the
Keep your
Beatles.
cool, Brown. We have to impress Joe. We can't be getting angry on the show. We have to make Joe know that we're not angry.
Speak.
Go ahead.
Well, Elvis Presley and the
Brown, you cutting in and out again. What is happening right now?
I don't know, but I don't fucking like it one goddamn bit.
What the fuck's happening? Can you hear me?
I
It's the
hear you
winter-
loud and
Brown, like you'll start talking and then we don't hear you at all, but on the stream, I'm sure they can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You're right there.
Where'd you get those
All right.
damn headphones?
I don't know if it's the headphones or not. Maybe it's a computer. I don't know why it's doing this. I know I don't like it one day.
Tony's brother in the snowball.
Anyway, Brown, just try to finish what you were saying about the Elvis Beatle thing. Let's just try to wrap that up. Let's try to
Elvis
get
was
Okay, I was trying to get to that. I was going to read off the thing here. Said here that they only met one time and the relationship was strained. It is inaccurate to say that Elvis hated them, but he did feel that they were a threat to his popularity. And he also disliked their anti-American stance. It was reportedly cold to them during their one-time meeting, but he did admit that he admired their music and even covered some of their songs.
Dr. Brown, when
Yeah.
the Beatles were like they really had an anti-American, they were kind of like Green Day. They didn't like America or something, or
No, I'm sure they liked America, but I think the idea, I guess Elvis perceived then as probably anti-American or something like that because, at one point, the press, and this is from the press, they said that the Beatles invasion in the Beatlemania was England's revenge for the Revolutionary War.
That's weird.
yeah, but the Beatles didn't do anything bad.
No, not really.
And what bands did America have back then besides Elvis?
Well, they had the Four Seasons, they had the Dave Clark Five, they had a few others.
Yeah. I like the Beatles. The Beatles wasn't that bad. They had good music. They had really good music.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis was a great performer too.
Yeah, but Beatles were one of the big reasons why I started playing the guitar and getting into music firsthand.
Right. Right.
All right.
I'm a huge Elvis fan myself, so I appreciate Elvis and the contribution that he did to music.
Well,
By the way, I want to mention R.I.P. to Val Kilmer, who played Jim Morrison.
Oh
who
yeah,
played
let's talk about that real quick.
that's right.
Brown.
Yes. Yeah, we got to pay homage to him. He did a lot of movie roles. Jim Morrison. In fact, the Doors Facebook page did a tribute to him.
Yeah,
He sung that. He sung that.
He was in
He
Top
sung
Gun
that
Maverick.
himself in the Doors movie. He sung that himself. That was it.
Yep, and
you know
he nailed it as Jim Morrison. Looked just like him in everything.
that I would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar, Dr. Brown. If I would to say to you, Prince, we couldn't get much higher. Come on, baby, light my fire.
Come
Baby,
on,
light
baby.
my fire.
Try to
Set the night on fire.
I'm sure you heard about this story. It's the story of the Doors doing that song while they were on the Ed Sullivan show. They were informed by these producers not to use the word higher in their lyric. So backstage before they did the song, they figured what's wrong with saying the word higher. And so they did anyways. And the producers were like, you promised you wouldn't say the word higher.
And then
And
he
they were
did.
no
And
longer allowed back on that show.
you're getting a little shit. I love that
Because
scene.
in words, in their around that time, the word higher was a drug reference.
I love that scene.
Hmm.
It's probably one of the most funniest scenes in the Door movies, guys. If you haven't seen the Doors movies, check it out with Val Kilmer. That scene which you just said, Earl Brown. That's a funny scene. The movie he says, Jim, can you not say higher? Can you kind of say something else? Like, baby, can you just bite my wire or something? And Jim's like,
Yep.
why would I do that?
Did
Why would
they
I
say
do-
that?
Yeah, he's like,
Really?
yeah, he
Yeah,
said, baby,
they did
can you
that. Yes.
get much higher or bite my wire? And Jim's like, no. And Jim's like, no. And he goes,
Y'all
he
want to
goes,
see? Y'all want to
oh, like
see
Chris
some? Y'all want to see some
goes out on
2000s
stage,
era shit
looks
right
in the
now?
camera. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. He
Look
looks in
at
the
this
camera.
motherfucker!
Let me finish, man. Damn. I'm trying to tell Earl what happened. He
Red. What
goes
do you
on
think about
stage,
Code Red?
looks directly in the camera, and says it.
Yep.
And the guy,
Well,
the
yeah,
producer,
yep, they
Live right there,
defied that
baby.
rule, and as a result, they were no longer allowed on the Ed Sullivan show.
exactly,
5
man.
right
That
here, Code Red, 2005. Come on. Earlier, really.
Yes,
Y'all remember
and
the Mount?
let's
You ever
also
drink?
not forget Val Kilmer's other performances in Top Gun Maverick,
Yes.
Top Secret.
Dr.
He was
Brown, you
in
ever
Real
have that?
Genius,
You ever
Hey,
see that
hey.
Batman
documentary
Forever.
with Dr. Brown?
What?
You ever see that documentary, Dr. Brown?
I know there was one. I never really saw it, and we all know what killed him: the cancer that he had in his throat.
He played in Top Gun as a situation with his voice.
Mm. Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. He had a
Yes.
situation with his voice
Yes.
in that movie.
And like I said, let's not forget his performance in Batman Forever.
What year did that come out, Brown?
I
Batman
believe
Forever.
it's 1995. Jim Carrey was the Riddler, and Tommy Lee Jones was Two-Face. All right, I think I think that may be the end conclusion of our show.
You got to fix that sound shit, Brown. You got to.
I
Fix
know
those
I got to
headphones.
work on it. I'm going to try and work on it right now as I speak. I got to figure out what's going on here. Why is it doing this? Maybe somewhat the computer doing this. Maybe I know there was a couple issues with the computer in terms of conjured up my music sets. You know, there was a lot of staticky stuff going on here and there. I got to work on that sometime soon. Maybe I need a new computer. Who knows? But but this concludes our episode of Music Maniacs for this evening, folks. I want to thank Prince Idol and YR for being with us this evening. I know we were supposed to have Divas Dave Rose on the program, but unfortunately, that didn't work out. Unfortunately,
Next week we'll plan for. Let's plan around Paul 3. A good time for him. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Let's try to get.
maybe I'll have to do it on a Wednesday evening. Maybe.
Yeah, well, talk with Paul 3, and we'll get a good time from him and see if it's.
All right, there. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. For YR, Prince Idol, and myself, you have a good Wednesday night. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit that like button and the notification bell.
Yes.
And we'll see you all next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Go watch the
Bye.
movie.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right.
You forgot to put in there. Watch the movie tribute to Val Kilmer. Oh, did you?
Right.
By the way,
I'm gonna-
Earl, did you get a chance to hear Billy Idol's new tracks?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
Need to check that out. He. My God, for his age, he sounds like he never aged.
Mm.
And what is he, like 60, 76
He's
or
in
something
his
like that?
50s.
It is, bro. He sounds like bro, it's like, wow. I'm impressed by Billy. I'm impressed. He looks good for his age, too.
No, give him credit. All right,
He looks
there. I'm going to get off the call, guys, and start some work on to figure out what's going on with Skype and this computer here. All right, see you dudes later on. All right, bye bye.
Bye-bye.